share, the feds are supposed to take care of their share, which means not only building the building, but also providing the staffing. So, we're going to keep fighting this on every front. I do think if we look back to the first Trump term, it took until about August, I think, on his efforts to repeal the Affordable Care Act before a lot of folks started to stand up. I think it's going to happen much quicker this year. But the fear I have is, whether it's international relations with our allies, whether it's sharing intelligence with the Ukrainians or our allies, whether it's making sure we've got the new innovation center for Virginia Tech in Arlington and Alexandria. If you're cutting research dollars at the same time you're trying to do more innovation, that's completely contradictory. So, we need more people to speak up and stand up, and we need to ask our Republican friends, how much is loyalty to Musk-Trump more important than loyalty to your community, your state, and your country?
Senator, our next question is Elizabeth Beyer with the Cardinal News. Elizabeth? Okay, we're going to move on to Brittany Slaughter with WSUT.
Thanks for hopping on here, Senator. My question for you is, a new Pew Research survey says 2/3 of adult voters want boys not to compete in women's sports. Why did you vote on Monday against the bill to bar transgender women from competing against biological women in sports?
I think that ought to be decided at the local school divisions. Trump has already put an executive order in place, and you've had changes from the NCAA. I think that issue has been addressed appropriate at the local level and didn't need federal intervention.
Senator, our next question is Coulter Anstead with WTKR.
Hey, Senator, thank you for taking the time to talk with us. Just wanted to ask you about your letter that you sent to U.S. Transcom recently. I was wondering if you have gotten any response from Transcom or if there's been any movement on that situation.
We, as of, I think, yesterday afternoon, I got caught up in the State of the Union speech, so I didn't check yesterday. But as of before yesterday, we've not had a response, a formal response. I think we've seen the press reports. I know we've been in contact with Transcom. We need to see better performance. The idea that our military members are going to get, as they part of military life, is being transferred from base to base, and if you can't get your furniture and stuff delivered on time, or it's costing you additional funds, that's just wrong. And the contractor that's Transcom is involved, we're trying to get answers, and I'll report back as soon as we get those answers in a fulsome way.
Senator, our next question is Angela Jones with the Hampton Roads Messenger.
Hi, Senator. Thank you for taking my question. I actually have two questions I hope you can answer. One is regarding, and these are questions that were asked of me, Beneficial Ownership Reporting Act. Are you familiar with that? And do you know where it stands now? Because there's actually something on FinCEN's website regarding it, saying that it's back in effect.
Yeah, this is, again, more than ironic. The first Trump administration, the then Deputy Secretary of Treasury, Justin Mucinich, led an effort that I participated in, and the current chair of the Senate Finance Committee, Mike Crapo, that said we need to advance our anti-money laundering, bank secrecy, called Know Your Customer rules in the country. We passed it on a broad bipartisan basis because there's a lot of scammers out there, and trying to make sure, and frankly, there's a lot of foreign entities that are trying to, for nefarious purposes, penetrate our economy. So let's try to determine in a way that's not overly burdensome for small businesses who the real owner is. Well, that's been law for a number of years. There was a long period of time to have it phase in. Now they're saying, well, we're not going to really make that requirement of the law. We're going to pause that rule for international entities. They say they're going to still enforce it for domestic, but I think it is very confusing on the website. What is the actual guidance? I asked the Trump nominee for Deputy Secretary on this question yesterday, and frankly, don't feel I got a full answer. I will ask again at his hearing.
Okay, because this is something that only affects small businesses that make less than $5 million.
Right, and it's an
So,
effort to
my second-
not to try to put too much burdensome and have a single reporting message. If there are ways to make it even smoother, great, but there was a real problem here that the first Trump administration acknowledged we needed to fix. What's the next question, ma'am?
Okay. There are actually two bills. There's one to repeal it and also H.R. 736 to change it. The next question was about whether President Trump is actually eligible to be president since he pardoned insurrectionists, and clause the 14th Amendment, Section 3, says something about giving comfort to insurrectionists.
Well, listen, there was one of the highest points of hypocrisy last night was when Donald Trump said how much he respects law enforcement, and he even had somebody in the gallery who wanted to become a police officer. Yet he has pardoned, without exception, all the folks who broke into the Capitol on January 6th and frankly assaulted police officers. It's one more example of, I think, rank hypocrisy and a huge sign last night of disrespect, particularly when the very people who were guarding the Congress last night were the Capitol police officers who'd been attacked. And for him to brag about him standing with police yet disrespecting them by pardoning those protesters, folks who raided our Capitol, was one more example of huge hypocrisy. Okay, thank you very much, everybody, and stay tuned, more to come.